Anyway, sorry.
So the reason I brought up Ukraine is or the Kharkov is, um, I flew into Kiev and then we took a train down, just to mix it up. Just
Yeah.
took the train from Kiev to Kharkov, and literally the entire time on the train, you just cornfield, wheat field for like 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it because I enjoy seeing countryside, right?
Yeah, of
So I
course.
enjoyed that process, and by the time you add in, airport pre and post and everything, it's kind of a wash and
Yeah.
just the fun experience to drive. But it was literally you're going through kind of the heart. You're kind of going through the northwestern side of not even down south, which is even more fields and stuff. But it's all basically fields.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Out- I'm sure you've noticed over time of us being friends with
Hmm.
my affinity for politics, my affinity for
Yeah.
history.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm wondering if a lot of those fields were built
Hmm.
back during the Cold War
Hmm.
was to kind of battle against the Americans.
Yeah, possible. Well, I mean, I think Ukraine's always been because they have a very fertile land, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I think is very interesting is that, and you probably know this already, but when I was in Poland in the late '90s, one of the things that they had told me when I was there is that they line all of the streets and mostly highways or not streets in the city, but on the maybe 2-lane highway, they'll
Right.
line them all with trees, and that's to hide the troop movement and to hide movement of armor and
Right.
trucks and stuff like that. So it's very interesting when you actually go, and now that you see these things, it makes a lot of sense because where they're fighting now in these trenches and stuff, a lot of it's in the trees because Ukraine is really like that as well. You have all these farms, and then outside the farms you have these lines of trees, which is completely strategic.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounds interesting.
yeah. So there's definitely something there.
Right? I mean, like the Americans used the supermarket
Hmm.
to sell all our corn and other
Yep.
grains because
Yep.
we had U.S. had an excess of corn and grain
I think the U.S. is the largest exporter of food in the
in the
world.
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we built this up. It
Mm.
was like the arms race, like
Yep.
against Russia. Oh,
Yep.
we got to build bigger. Well, we also have more food.
Well, again, I think that was probably more dumb luck than strategic planning.
It was a bit
But
of dumb luck, but it was a bit like it was a bit posturing.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah. Whereas I think Ukraine is the breadbasket, especially of Western Asia, and Russia doesn't have as much fertile land as
No,
Ukraine.
of course not. Yeah, I mean,
So
the Siberia is right there. That's like half of it,
yeah,
right? The
yeah,
Arctic Circle.
yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting how you're telling me about that, and you're hearing like now I get a bit more on why now we're getting to Russia a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah. Mm.
why Russia wants Ukraine.
Yep.
I mean, besides their nuclear sub bases,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? That
Access to the Black Sea.
Crimea,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's a food source,
Mm, mm, mm.
and I get it. Now, I'm not taking sides, whatever.
Mm.
That's not the point. It's just an interesting thing to hear. It's like how strategic Ukraine really was
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Russia,
for sure.
right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, pretty well. They even gave it up originally, right? But just with the location and it's quite a strategic place. But I suppose
well, even
when things are melting down,
pre-communist, right?
yeah,
They've always had a hand in Ukrainian politics, if
for
not
sure.
even owned Ukraine, right?
Yep,
Even under
yep,
the Tsars.
yep, yep,
Did they
yep,
respect Ukraine or the Ukrainian people? Probably not so much, because
yeah,
which even Catherine the Great, I think, even admonished Ukrainian people.
yeah, yeah. They've always been looked down on, right? Which
Yeah,
which is was a bit surprising because they're quite hardy people.
yeah, yeah.
And I would say that our teams there, as much as um, they're extremely stubborn and extremely resilient. And so when people are like, "Oh, we're just gonna run them over," I'm like, "You don't really
No,
understand the Ukrainians. Like, they're not give up type folks." Um, yeah, but they're great people, lovely people.
yeah.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I've met a couple Ukrainians, nice
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
lovely people.
mm,
I've never had any issue. I've met Russians, I've met Ukrainians, I've
yeah,
met people from all over the world.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say what people I think are douchebags.
Well, there's douchebags everywhere, right?
And there's
That's
douchebags
yeah,
everywhere. And as an American, I
mm,
can safely say there's plenty of douchebag Americans.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But the ones that kind of travel,
yeah, yeah,
a bit
yeah,
like, okay, that
yeah,
that nationality's a bit douchey.
yeah,
That
yeah,
nationality's a bit
yeah,
more so than not.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, Ukrainian people, lovely people.
yeah, I mean, I think all those people in the Eastern Bloc, let's call it that, if we still can, they have a different set of circumstances they grew up in, so they just have a bit more roughness around them, right? A
Yeah.
bit more toughness. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah. But so it's funny, yeah, like how that change in the balance of the grains is probably. I'm guessing that's exactly one of the reasons why whiskey's more expensive now than it was before.
One of many,
Yep.
glass,
Yep.
COVID, inflation, which is all goes back to COVID.
Yep. Yep.
Also planned because supplies have been slowly dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it in personal fact. I'm not gonna say the name. This was already planned to go up in price.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with certain whiskey companies was they already planned on going up in price, and then COVID happened, so it made it a convenient experience.
Sure. Yep.
All of a sudden now, whiskeys has gone up 30%.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe 20% was planned. That extra 10% is inflation.
Yep. Sure. Yep.
Right.
Or just the opportunity because everybody else is doing it. So there's always that knock-on effect with inflation, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is raising their price. Why don't we? Right?
Yeah. No, we're talking economics. Yeah. Why not? Right. And
Yep. Yeah, and